Hi, Arcfieldweather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday morning, February 11th. Still looks like some snow is on the table for the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. from late Saturday night into the day on Sunday, all associated with the arrival of an Arctic air mass. That Arctic air mass will change temperatures from very mild conditions on Saturday to much colder weather on Sunday and especially on Monday. In fact, the core of this upcoming cold air mass will be in place in the northeastern quadrant of the nation from Sunday night through Monday night, way below normal temperatures for Monday, Valentine's Day, probably highs confined to the 20s in the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. It does look like it'll warm up considerably by the latter part of next week, probably by Thursday and Friday. We'll be back to touching 60 degrees for afternoon highs in that same I-95 corridor region. There likely will also be some rain showers at the end of next week, perhaps on the day Friday, associated with another cold frontal system. I do want to take a quick look, looking ahead through the remainder of February into March on a couple of teleconnection indices, and then we'll focus in on the snow threat for late Saturday night and Sunday in the Mid-Atlantic Northeast U.S. Certainly are some people out there talking about the end of winter is coming, and it does look like there'll be a pretty significant change in the overall weather pattern to warmer for the eastern states beginning at the end of next week, probably going through much of the remainder of February. The second half of February in general looks like it'll be warmer than it's been, and quite a change from the last few weeks. However, these two teleconnection indices from the Pacific Ocean area indicate that we certainly may go back to some winter-like weather in the month of March. We're looking at the East Pacific Oscillation, the EPO, and then we'll take a look at the WPO, the Western Pacific Oscillation. And these two indices are actually quite important in terms of the probability for cold air outbreaks to make it into the eastern U.S. Better chance for cold air outbreaks in the eastern states if these indices are on the negative side. And we'll take a look first at the EPO, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation. We're starting off right around this area right here as we speak on February 11th. Neutral. It does slide back into negative territory for a few days, but then take a look at this. This is a pretty hefty period with higher than neutral positive EPO values here. Again, that's the bulk of the second half of the month of February. The blue represents what we call a control run of the GFS, and the green kind of the average or a mean of several GFS model runs. But notice here, by the time we get to about March 1st, this is right around this area right here, the beginning of March, these both the control run and the mean run tend to go back into negative territory. This is basically the first half of the month of March, with a more favorable teleconnection index values here for cold air outbreaks to return back into the eastern states. So again, may not be quite time to say the end of winter. Certainly a warmer pattern according to this particular index for much of the second half of February in the eastern states, but slides back into negative territory for the first part of March. So certainly that is an indicator that there could be some more winter weather left across the eastern states. Well, let's now take a look at the WPO, the Western Pacific Oscillation. And both of these indices kind of give us an idea of the wind flow and temperature and pressure pattern over the Pacific Ocean. And a lot of times this time of the year we have a strong jet stream that flows from west to east across the northeastern Pacific into the western part of Canada or the U.S., and that tends to bottle up cold air up across Alaska, northwestern Canada. And these indices kind of give us an idea as to the possibility of cold air outbreaks making it into the eastern U.S. all the way from northern Canada, northwestern Canada, and Alaska. Again, when these two indices are in negative territory, a more favorable overall pattern exists for colder air outbreaks into the eastern U.S. So again, we're starting off a little bit below the neutral line here, and again we have a cold air outbreak coming over the next few days. This time period right here, we certainly will experience an Arctic blast in the eastern states. Again, the core of that cold air will be felt here, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., Sunday night, Monday, and Monday night. Then a big warm-up later next week, and that's about the time where this particular index value flips back up into positive territory. The wind flow pattern changes across the North Pacific, the western part of Canada and the U.S., and that'll kind of bottle up the cold air so that it can't make it into the eastern U.S. But again, here, as with the EPO, by the time we flip to March 1st or so, which is right around this territory, that looks like the first couple of weeks of March, it gets back into negative territory in both the mean run of the GFS and the control run of the GFS. And both of these maps, by the way, come from Weather Bell Analytics. So again, maybe a warmer pattern for the second half of February for the eastern states, but also indications are we'll return to a winter-like pattern for the first half of the month of March. Well, let's now focus in on the near term here. Again, we have an Arctic frontal system that moves from northwest to southeast into the northeastern part of the nation this weekend. After a mild day today, another mild day on Saturday. Colder, drier Arctic air will start to filter in tomorrow night, and along that frontal boundary zone, low pressure will form, and it'll slowly intensify by the time it moves off the east coast out over the open waters of the western Atlantic. But I do believe there will be a period of snow late Sunday night into the day on Sunday, most likely late Sunday night into Sunday morning. Maybe it'll extend into midday or even longer than that, and we'll talk about it. Still not completely ironed out, this particular setup here. I'm generally thinking in the range of a coating to a couple of inches. D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, again, late Saturday night into Sunday morning. But let's talk about the players involved. Using the Canadian model run from 0Z last night, I think it has a pretty good handle on the situation. This is as we begin the day on Friday. Let's move forward. We're looking here at the 500 millibar vorticity field. By the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, we have a stretched out area of vorticity right here. That's kind of associated with that incoming Arctic front. And we've mentioned in prior videos that the wind flow generally flows parallel to these black lines here, and this is about where that frontal system will be. So it tends to get aligned with the upper air wind flow, and that usually results in a slowing down or even a stalling out of that surface frontal boundary zone. Also, important player, northern stream wave of energy here by tomorrow afternoon. Now, let's move forward here. Again, this is the Canadian model run. By the time we get to Sunday morning, that northern stream, it tends to dominate the scene, tends to take over. We still have the stretched out area of vorticity associated with the frontal boundary zone, and below pressure right in this area right here. And that northern stream is the main culprit of producing some upward motion in the Mid-Atlantic region. It certainly should be enough to produce some snow, I think, late Saturday night into Sunday morning. By the time we get to Monday, that core of that Arctic blast will be sitting right on top of the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. A very cold day for the middle part of February. Again, high temperatures likely to be confined to the 20s in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. It will be quite windy as well, maybe even an isolated snow shower or two associated with this. Another upper level feature that kind of swings on through during the day on Monday. Well, let's look at the temperature field. Again, big changes coming to the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S., the Great Lakes. Warmer than normal today, warmer than normal on Saturday, but then that Arctic air filters in by tomorrow night. Much, much colder conditions for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Let's move forward here looking at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. This is by this evening way above normal, with high temperatures well up in the 50s in many parts of the I-95 corridor region. The mild conditions tend to hold on during the day on Saturday. However, don't be surprised if temperatures start to fall in the afternoon. The surface front actually pushes through the I-95 corridor region early in the day. Don't be surprised temperatures fall during the afternoon after those mild high temperatures are reached, perhaps by midday or even in the latter part of Saturday morning. Also, dew points, a good indicator of Arctic air moving in. They will likely drop noticeably during the afternoon, especially tomorrow evening. That's a good indication Arctic air is moving in. Arctic air is not only cold, but very dry air. So you'll see the dew points dropping tomorrow afternoon and evening, and you may even see the surface temperatures dropping as well. If they don't drop tomorrow afternoon, they certainly will drop quite rapidly early tomorrow night. And here is that cold blast showing up by tomorrow afternoon. And by the time we get into late tomorrow night, Sunday morning, it's in play here. There's a chance that the precipitation begins at the brief period of rain, D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, late Saturday night. We're talking about the wee hours of the morning on Sunday. But if indeed the precip starts as rain, that'll just be for a brief time. Changes over to snow as this Arctic air becomes better established in the I-95 corridor region, and whatever falls at Sunday morning, Sunday midday, should be in the form of snow. And again, I'm thinking right now maybe a coating to a couple of inches in that D.C., Philadelphia, maybe New York City corridor. Still not 100% set in stone, but maybe some accumulation. It's not a significant event, but something we're still watching here. Look at this. By the time we get to Monday morning, 20, 25 degrees below normal for this time of the year. This is the core of the Arctic air mass overhead come Sunday night, Monday night, way down in the teens for lows Sunday night and again on Monday night. It stays quite chilly on Tuesday. This is Tuesday morning, but if we move forward, the Arctic chill certainly wanes in midweek, and then by the time we get to Thursday and Friday, this is Thursday afternoon and into the day on Friday. This is Friday morning. Very mild conditions along the eastern seaboard. There is a cold front coming on Friday. Could result in some rain shower activity, but much warmer by the time we get to next Thursday and Friday. After that, it could turn cooler again. But again, the longer term pattern is for generally warmer weather for much of the second half of February. Doesn't mean you're not going to have some cold shots here and there, but on average, the second half of February looks like a warmer pattern relative to normal compared to the first half of the month. Now let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps from last night's 0Z run of the Canadian model here. Again, I think it has a pretty good handle on things. You notice here the isobar pattern at the surface level. Winds flow parallel to isobars. This is promoting a southwesterly flow of air across the Ohio Valley. That will help to advance some mild air into the Mid-Atlantic region later on today, and it should stick around for at least Saturday morning, so a mild start to the upcoming weekend, but big changes come by Sunday in terms of the overall temperature pattern. Let's move forward here. Again, mild today to close out the work week. Then that surface front arrives early in the day on Saturday. This is the Saturday morning forecast map, and the front is really right in this region right here early Saturday morning. Again, it'll hang on for a good part of Saturday in terms of the mild conditions, but again, don't be surprised if by tomorrow afternoon temperatures start to drop a little bit. The highs may be reached during the midday hours, let's say, on Saturday, and dew points certainly a good indicator that Arctic air is moving in, filtering in, should drop noticeably during the afternoon, especially tomorrow evening. Now, let's move forward here. This is the Saturday evening forecast map, and then by late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, we're talking the wee hours of the morning, precipitation will break out along that frontal boundary zone as low pressure begins to form. Those upper level disturbances we saw up front tend to try to phase together by Sunday morning. Precip could begin as a brief period of rain, but only brief period. Then it changes over to snow as that Arctic air becomes a little better, well established along the I-95 corridor region. This is the forecast map for Sunday morning. A breakout of snow into Sunday morning in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Here's that surface low pressure system off the coast already. Two factors are kind of preventing this from becoming a big event. Number one, the phasing takes a little bit long of a time period for a strong low pressure area to develop inland. It looks like the phasing together, the northern stream with the southern stream, just will take a long enough time for that low pressure to not intensify until it's off the eastern seaboard. Plus, it's a fairly quick mover. That inhibits the chance for significant snowfall. Nonetheless, I do think accumulations are on the table. Right now, I'm thinking of coating to a couple of inches in this region. Again, late Saturday night into Sunday morning. Perhaps it could last into midday on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. By the time we get to game time in the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S., it should be out of the picture. So if you're traveling somewhere to watch the game late in the afternoon on Sunday in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and its surrounding suburbs, should be over with by that time. But very, very cold. Again, very cold Sunday night, Monday, and Monday night right here. By the time we get into Monday morning, the core of the coldest air will be right over the northeastern quadrant of the nation, perhaps some 15 to 20 degrees or so below normal for the middle part of February. Cannot rule out a snow shower either on Sunday night or Monday, as that other disturbance in the upper part of the atmosphere kind of swings on through. So big warm up by the time we get to late next week. I'm talking Thursday and Friday of next week. So in the short term, we have very mild weather in the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S. today into the day on Saturday. Arctic front slides on through, inches its way through early in the day on Saturday. Start to notice a response tomorrow afternoon, perhaps temperatures reaching a peak by the midday hours and then slowly dropping in the afternoon. Dew points, which are a true measure of the overall moisture content of the atmosphere, will certainly slide tomorrow afternoon into the night as Arctic air filters in. Then a breakout of precipitation late tomorrow night into the day on Sunday. Could start as a brief period of rain, then change over to snow. I'm thinking maybe coating to a couple of inches or so. Very cold Sunday night, Monday night. The Arctic chill then wanes by the middle of next week in the Mid-Atlantic region, in the Northeast U.S., much warmer Thursday and Friday. Looking ahead, the overall weather pattern looks warmer relative to normal for the second half of February compared to the first. But looking way beyond that into the first half of March, quite likely we'll get back to some winter-like weather in the eastern states. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.